welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We are pushing to 10,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and thank you for all the support. Today we have Daniel from Battered Heat Fans. Guys, just real quick, let the people know about your channel, and please plug all the stuff that you guys got.
Okay, I'll start. The Battered Heat Fans, we started this season. We had tried doing this once before, conflicting issues with the schedules. We had two other hosts that used to do it with us. We couldn't make the schedules work, so Shalan and I decided to start it this year. So brand new, coming after every game we drop a show, and we're very soccer heavy. We do Battered Herons, we do it in Spanish, we do Battered MLS. Also, if you're a Marlins fan, Battered Marlins fans, Battered Dolphins fans. So we got a little bit of everything going, but right now the Heat is where it's at. So, and then Salan, I know you got some stuff also.
Yeah, man, you guys can follow me on social media at DSeldani. And as I was mentioning to Martel before the show, we have also a very soccer-heavy podcast called This is Football. We're transitioning over into different sports. We talked about the betting scandal last week. We'll be talking some football. We'll be talking some NBA and maybe even some hockey. So if you like sports and scandals, definitely follow us. This is Football. We're probably going to do a name change. But definitely catch us there. And the reason why the Miami Heat podcast didn't work the first time was because we had a Knicks fan on there. Let's be honest.
That also. That also. Yeah.
Gotcha. So just for both of you, because I've been saying this since the offseason, I just think that this Miami Heat team is going to be a lot better than what people are giving us credit for. I think we have a well-rounded roster. Before, like in the playoffs, they would try to double Tyler. Now you really can't do that anymore when you have Wiggins. You have Bam, who's improved. You have Powell. So where do you guys stand right now with this Miami Heat team, especially where the Eastern Conference is almost wide open? Giannis doesn't want to be there. Trae Young just sprained his knee. Yes, Orlando beat us, but they're not looking too good. Philly's never healthy. The Knicks are fraudulent. Cavs, they always have a great regular season, but they really never, turn that over. So where do you guys stand with the Miami Heat within the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I can tell you. I mean, we've talked about it on Battered Heat Fans many times. We said if the Heat start, and this is Danny's words, the Heat start 10-10 in their first 20 games, he thinks that they'll be top four, and I agree 100%. I agree that the East is wide open. This team looks like they've bought into this new system that Spo has put into effect in the offseason. And look, I'm really enjoying the fact that they're running as much as they're running, and they're getting a lot of shots up. And look, I think this team has everything to lose with the East as wide open as it is, like you mentioned.
Yeah, with the Eastern Conference being as weak as it is, like Solana said, who had the Chicago Bulls coming out and being 5-1? Like this, the Eastern Conference is wide open. The only real threat, like you said, is the Cavs and the Knicks. I don't believe in the Knicks and the Cavs. The way that they kind of fell apart last year, it's hard to believe it until they actually make something happen. And then you have 3 20-point scorers on this team. You have Spo, which is the best coach in the league. And then you have this high-paced offense where the ball's constantly moving, and you really can't just zone in on just one player to shut down, because that ball's going to keep moving. It's going to swing until you find that open man or you get that drive to the basket. Now, am I going to go ahead and say that I think the Heat are going to win the Eastern Conference? I'm not going to say that. But I'm not going to say that it would completely be a huge shock either, because I don't see any Eastern team. Like, do you see an Eastern Conference team right now that you can say they're the favorites? I don't think there's any. Orlando hasn't looked good so far. Desmond Bain was supposed to fix their 3-point issues. They're 3-5 for some reason. I haven't paid close attention to them. The Knicks, they've been stumbling out the start. I just don't see that Eastern Conference team yet. And with the way that our schedule has started, the first 20 games, if we could make it 500 through the first 20, which is a gauntlet, West Coast trip, you got the Cavs twice, you got the Knicks 3 times. Like, you have a really tough schedule. We already played 5 of the 6 top teams in the West already. Like, if we can get through the first 20 at 500, I have no doubt we finish top 4. And if this team keeps rolling, I don't see why this couldn't be another 2021 season or 2022.
So now we love the offense, but do you guys think it's sustainable? There's a lot of people that are questioning it only because once you get, probably around game 50, 60, legs start getting tired. It's just that my thing is, as long as they're moving the ball for the most part, I think that this Miami Heat team should be okay. So what do you guys think about the new offense? And who do you think has really benefited from this new offense?
Go for it, Danny.
I think Jaime Jaquez has benefited the most because last year with the slow tempo, he had a lot of he couldn't be as aggressive as he normally is. Everybody was clowning on him for his spin moves last year when he would get caught in the post, start spinning, and nobody was falling for the spin anymore. I think Jaime Jaquez in that second unit is going to be the driving force there, and I think that just everybody's going to benefit. Norman Powell. Norman Powell is accustomed to not being the go-to guy. So he isn't forcing anything. Every shot that he takes or every drive that he makes is in the flow of the offense. Bam Adebayo, he's improving with that 3-point shot. Again, he's just rotating across the perimeter or taking it to the hole whenever he sees the chance. I think that everybody benefits from here because everybody on this team can handle the ball, can take it to the rock. Now, unfortunately, they're not all great 3-point shooters. So that's the only downfall. When Norman Powell and Tyler Herro maybe aren't there, you might see a game like you saw against San Antonio Spurs or even the Lakers. But I think that if we have a healthy Norm Powell, a healthy Tyler Herro, I don't see why this is going to fall off at all because they're moving the pace. They're going to get the shots up. And if you can keep those two 3-point shooters up and healthy, they're going to benefit from this.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. And look, I think this Heat offense, I haven't seen the Heat play this type of offense, and I've been a season ticket holder for almost 30 years now, ever. It's usually a very slow paced offense, very pick and roll heavy. And that's something that Spo took out this year. And you see a much more free flowing offense. And I think it's really helped Bam out. Bam is the type of player that he does very well when you don't have him in that pick and roll situation and you don't have to get him double covered inside the paint. And he's done fantastic this season. Not only that, but he added an extra layer to his game with that 3-point shooting. We've seen him take up to 13 3-point shots in one game like he did in that San Antonio Spurs game. So I think that this offense has really helped Bam get into a much more comfortable spot on the floor when he's playing in Eric Spoelstra's lineup. So, other than the obvious was Jaime Jaquez, who's had a tear to start off the season. I think really it's Bam who's the one who's been helped out the most with this free-flowing offense.
Davion Mitchell has also benefited greatly, and he's protecting the ball, which is my favorite part. He's got I haven't checked, but I don't know if he's still averaging over 8 assists. But for sure, it's less than 2 turnovers a game. At last weekend, he was the only player in the NBA with that stat line, over 8 assists, less than 2 turnovers. I don't know if he still is, but he is doing a great job handling the rock. And even Drew Smith's looking good. Everybody in this offense that buys in is going to look good, except for maybe Khalil Ware. I still don't see how Khalil Ware fits in this.
So that's the thing, we have our 2 young guys in Nico and Kelel Ware. My thing is, I don't understand because with Nico, you kind of have to put the ball in his hands. I mean, since he was even overseas before we drafted him, the ball was always in his hands. And I just think that why did they pay him $60 million when they really should have now shifted? So the Jaime role right now should be Nico's role. And I just think that why would you guys pay him 60 mil when he really hasn't proven much? And then you're not really willing to give him that Jaime role where you're putting the ball in his hands. But then you also have Kelel Ware where, you have the motor issues. They changed the offense where it's really not pick and roll heavy, which obviously he would benefit from. So how do you guys feel about Nico and Kelel Ware's fit? Because the more that we continue to keep these guys out of trades, but then at the same time, they're not being utilized properly on the court. I just where do you stand with those two?
Yeah, I think for Kelel, he started off the season on the bench the first game due to injury, and then Spo inserted him into the starting lineup for the next few games. And unfortunately, I don't know. I think that he's a player that does better when he comes in from the bench. We've seen him do really well against second units, and he's had tough matchups as well in these first games, right? He had to cover Wemby in the Spurs game, and that Lakers game wasn't an easy matchup against Jackson Hayes, a very fast kind of a small center. And he just got lit up, unfortunately. So he had a much better game against Zubac and the Clippers, where he had 16 points. But I just see him as a player who unfortunately needs to come off the bench. Now, talking about Niko Jovic, I agree with you. I don't know why they gave him $60 million plus in the offseason, but look, we've seen the Heat do this in the past. They did it with Hassan Whiteside when they were scared that they were going to lose him, and they overpaid him. They've overpaid other folks before, Tyler Johnson, Dion Waiters, after he had that great second half of the season. So we've seen the Heat make these types of mistakes before. Fortunately, I think Jovic is a different style of player, and he still needs to learn how to develop, and he's starting to understand this league slowly, little by little. So I think we need to give Nico a little bit more time. But I agree with you, Martel. I just don't know why they would shell out the $60+ million for a player who's coming off the bench. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me.
As far as Khalil Ware goes, I think defensively, as things where I've been most disappointed. I think he plays best when he's in the zone, where he doesn't have to think as much. But when he's defending the pick and roll and he's dropping, I just think that he looks lost out there. Even though he's really long and he can get block shots, I think that it's easy to take him out of there. So when he's in the zone, I think he's in position to get those rebounds and maybe to deflect some passes. He'll be there by the rim to get those block shots. But I think that they're going to have to bring him off the bench and then go to zone when he's in there, like they did against the Clippers in the second quarter. And that's where he looks the best. Offensively, he can hit his occasional three-point shot. But I just don't see him because I think that on offense, the pick and roll is his best weapon. And we're obviously running a lot less picks this year. And then Nico just pushes the pace. He is a poor man's Kevin Love. Kevin Love will get you with those quarterback throws to get the offense going. Nico maybe doesn't do that, but as soon as Nico gets ball, he runs ball, and he gets it, and then he's pushing the pace immediately. He did it last year, even when our offense wasn't at the fast pace that it is this year. So he still has that, and I think he's just growing into his own. Now, I do think, like you guys said, I think that the contract was a mistake. I think you paid for potential, but his type of potential, I don't know if it works out this. To this level. I mean, it was 15 mil a year is what it kind of averaged out to. So
I don't know, but you comparing him to Kevin Love, man, that's
I meant at the way that Kevin Love, as soon as he got a rebound, right away it was down court. He was looking down court, and Nico does the same. It's just
poor man. I'd go homeless, man. Kevin Love. I mean, and I'm not trying to get crazy here, but I'm just saying.
I mean, in that aspect.
No, it's just that Nico. It's like we're counting on him. Obviously, he wants to have a big season, but it's like, what has he really improved on within the past few seasons? He goes over to Europe and he's a completely different player. So I just don't understand why that doesn't translate, to our team and to our roster. But, I guess that we're just going to have to be patient. I mean, they are still young and obviously they do have ups and downs. But what about Tyler? Because there's a lot of people that are saying that they don't want Tyler Herro to come back. He's going to ruin the offense. So what do you guys think about Tyler Herro coming back, and what's your starting lineup? Because you can either have a defensive backcourt with Davion and Tyler, or you can have Powell and Tyler where the defense really won't be there. So where do you guys stand with the starting lineup and with Tyler Herro coming back?
I think we're going to see what we saw last night, except instead of Pelle Larsson, it's going to be Tyler Herro, or 2 nights ago. I think it's going to be Davion, Tyler, Norman, Wiggins, and Bam, which is a very small lineup, but I think that that's the way it might go. The only issue there is that Tyler, I don't think, gives you what Pelle Larsson does outside as far as defensively. Pelle Larsson is a ball hawk. When he sees a passing lane, he'll attack that passing lane. I don't know if you get that from Tyler Herro, but I don't see Norman Powell or Davion Mitchell ending up on the bench, and I don't see Tyler Herro being a sixth man again. So I think that we're going to get that starting lineup. I guess they'll maybe tweak it, see how it works out. And as far as how Tyler Herro fits in, Tyler Herro, he was getting double teamed last year once Jimmy left, and he was still putting up his 20+ points. This is a free-flowing offense. As long as he buys in, which I don't see why he wouldn't, as long as he buys in, he's going to get his. Everybody's going to get theirs. And I don't see any problem with this. I think Norman Powell is the only unless you want to say Fontecchio, but the only bona fide 3-point shooter is Norman Powell in this starting lineup. If you just add another 3-point shooter on here, I don't see how that could hurt. I think that Tyler Herro is going to get his. And like I said, as long as he buys in, I think it's going to work. Now, on the defensive end, you might be lacking. But Norman Powell has also showed that he's not a pushover defensively either. He's not a Davion Mitchell, but I don't think that he's a pushover either. Now, Tyler, it's a different story.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be the starting lineup, but it's also important to know that with Spo, it's not about who starts; it's more about who finishes. And look, at this point, I don't think that you can take Davion Mitchell out of the starting lineup. He's been so valuable to that team with his assist to turnover ratio. His defense is absolutely stellar, and he is the quarterback of that first unit. And so I don't think you can take him out right now. I think it makes the most sense to slot in Tyler Herro, play small, stretch out the floor a little more because you're going to get another 3-point shooter, somebody who's going to force defenses to cover them up to the 3-point line because we know that he has that range. And so I think that's going to open up the floor a lot more for players like Davion Mitchell to attack the paint and find the open man for Bam Adebayo to get inside and attack. And I think it's going to allow these other players who drive the ball a little bit more that space that they need in order to attack the rim. And so, look, like Danny said, Tyler's going to get his no matter what. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially in that second unit, because we know last year when Tyler Herro played with Jaime Jaquez, it was really, really good. And so the way that Jaime is playing this year, if you add Tyler Herro, because you know Spo likes to mix and match with some of his first and second player units. So it's going to be really interesting to see that second unit with a Tyler Herro and a Jaime Jaquez Jr., the way that Jaime is playing this year. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait for Tyler to get back. I know we talked about it off the air. I think he'll be back towards the end of November and just about 20 games into the season, which we've been talking about heavily on Battered Heat fans, that if the Heat are 10-10, we both believe that they are a lock for a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference.
And just real quick, I do think that Spo is going to alternate with Powell and Tyler. You know, you might check out Powell first, but I think you'll have one of those two on the court at all times. I think you're going to have – so they're going to start together. They're going to end the game together. But throughout the game, I'm sure they'll overlap at some point. But I think you're going to always have at least a Tyler and a Norman Powell on the court at all points of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like if Tyler and Powell were healthy this whole time, we would have been undefeated. This Miami Heat team has been playing so well, but it just came
San
down
Antonio team, I don't know.
Oh man, we just needed that big offensive punch that we didn't have. You know,
that Laker game for sure.
Huh?
That Laker game for sure.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. But thank you guys for coming on the show. But please, before we close, let the people know again, where can they find your content?
Battered Heat fans, again, we do a show after every game. We're just getting our feet wet, so maybe we might add a couple more shows in throughout the week. But as of right now, we're just going on after every game. We also have a Twitter, Battered Heat fans on Twitter. We have Battered Miami fans on Instagram, where we kind of put just all of Miami things. And then just the Battered Network in general. We do Marlins, we do Heat, we do Dolphins, we do Inter Miami, and Battered Fan is the Twitter handle for me personally. Solana?
All right. Don't forget to check out batterfans.com. Get all your merch, especially that great T-shirt Danny's wearing that looks like a Sazon Completa jar.
A double.
And and you can find me at Diesel Danny on all my social medias. And Martel, I was wondering, how'd you get into the arena so early this morning?
Oh man, I wish it was that easy, right? That's hilarious. But guys, make sure that you guys go follow their content. Like I said, yes, they're starting to get their feet wet, but they're putting out really good content. Make sure that you guys go like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you guys go show them love. And thank you guys for all the support.